Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission meeting on Wednesday the 12th, 2014. We'll start this meeting at approximately 10:06. Brady, if you want to call to order.
Commissioner Brown?
Present.
Shillette? Pickens?
Present.
Smith?
Present.
Velasquez? Vice Chairman Fuller?
Present.
Chairman Vieira?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome Teresa Malloy to the podium to have her invocation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I have two short readings. One is an actual prayer and one is a writing. And the first one is a healing prayer because we see justice as the healing of the world. And the second one is about justice directly. Okay? Thank you very much. And there is no amen at the end of it. Feel free to add your own heart's prayer with an amen with that if you'd like. Thy name is my healing, O my God, and remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope, and love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing, and my succor in both this world and the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. O Son of Spirit, the best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away therefrom if thou desirest me, and neglect it not that I may confide in thee. By its aid thou shalt see with thine own eyes, and not through the eyes of others, and shalt know of thine own knowledge, and not through the knowledge of thy neighbor. Ponder this in thy heart, how it behooveth thee to be. Verily justice is my gift to thee, and the sign of my loving kindness. Set it then before thine eyes.
Thank you. And as you're standing, if you could please face the flag, and we'll salute our flag. Your right hand over your heart, and begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appears there's no presentations today, so we'll move right into public business from the floor. Agendized items. Citizens who would like to address the Criminal Justice Commission on any agendized item may do so when this item is being considered by the Commission. Please complete a speaker card and identify the agenda item you'd like to discuss. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and we do have one agendized speaker card, Mr. Ed Galindo. Mr. Galindo.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ed Galindo. I'm here today not as a commissioner. I'm here today as a citizen of the Antelope Valley. I'm here to discuss our resolution that I proposed. I gave this to the mayor. I didn't really think he was going to bring it to this particular commission. I thought he would bring it to the council. The resolution is to the City Council of the City of Lancaster to establish a policy for releasing impounding vehicles. Now, I think each one of you should have had a copy of this resolution, and I hope you did read it. This is not a new policy. This is a policy that has been used by San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, Baldwin Park, and of course Los Angeles. Los Angeles, the chief of police of Los Angeles has started a policy. It's gone up to the courts and it's returned. And this policy is similar to this one. This does not change any law. This policy is a policy of the City of Lancaster that we should follow. It does not change any law, and if you'll notice in the policy, I put two times I've indicated that this policy will be, to the maximum extent, consistent with state laws. Both of them extend only to the state law. It does not set the policy for the sheriff's department. It sets the policy for the city of Lancaster. Our impounding problem here, especially with the Latino community, is dire. We talk about jobs for our people. Our people are losing jobs because of this particular situation. I'd like to address you and ask if you have questions about this policy. I'm hoping for it. Anybody would like to ask me anything on this particular policy?
Well, this is a continuing business item that will come up here on the agenda that we'll be discussing here shortly, and you're welcome to stay and participate in that as well. But
Fine, thank you very much. Thank you.
we'll now move on to the consent calendar, approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion?
I'd like to move to approve the minutes of February 12, 2014.
Discussion? Second. Now, any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, call for the vote. Thank you very much. Unanimous. Now we'll move on to continued business. Continued business item 1, discussion and possible action regarding vehicle impound policies. As Mr. Galindo has stated, I believe all of us did receive the resolution that was brought forward at the last Criminal Justice Commission meeting. I've had the opportunity to breeze over that, but in saying that, I think there's also other information that's being gathered. We did put together a committee of some of the commissioners here, and we're planning to have future meetings, and I would, unless there's other comments or recommendations from this commission, would recommend that we continue this item to provide some additional time to look at this a little more in depth. I personally would like to look at some more information before rushing through any type of recommendation that may come forward. But having said that, I'd open up to other commissioners for any comments that they would like to add, or to staff as well.
Yeah, I got a comment. When Mr. Galindo was here along with some other people during our last meeting, we actually had an extensive discussion, but not much of it was focused on the resolution that was presented. At that time, we hadn't had the opportunity to receive an advance copy, and I understand what Mr. Galindo is asking us to do, but at the same time, what the City Council is asking us to do is to evaluate and provide an opinion on that, not just that resolution, but that as a component of what the city might do to address the issue of vehicle impounds. So, although we did get a lot of information, it's taken a little bit longer to get some of the more other complementary information that we might like to get. And I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that we don't rush into our recommendation to the City Council without giving people the opportunity to present us what they consider to be the full gamut of information that we should be considering and looking at that. I am aware that, if I'm not mistaken, and either city manager or safety officer can correct me if I'm wrong, but that the Sheriff's Department is also looking at changes in their policies on impounding, and so that may or may not affect what it is action that we might recommend.
Well, I would say policies regarding discretion for officers in the field is a discussion they can have. There's other issues that relate to it that are incorporated into the state law that cannot be addressed. Okay, the state law is very clear on what some of those issues are. So as the Sheriff's Department looks into that, those are discussions, and we've had a changeover as well, and so timing for certain issues and priorities for the Sheriff's Department right now are probably not the same as what might be considered out to us in the community. I will say this, that it's important that the deputies have discretion, and that's something that they can consider in this. But as far as dictating policy based on, and that's in contradiction to the law, that's a completely different issue. So and I agree with you that this is something that deserves further discussion, exactly for the committee to understand what those laws are and how they impact the community.
Other comments? Yeah, Mr. Hozegi?
Yeah, and I appreciate what Mr. Galindo is saying, and it does resonate a lot of what you're saying. I think Tim said it very well. This commission is tasked with a much broader task, which is not just recommending a resolution, but really looking at the issue, and for them to do that, they do need to research a little bit better. I do know that, Kent, if I'm not mistaken, at the last meeting, Pat said that they're already looking at certain things in policy, the Sheriff's Department. So the broader and the better course of action here is going to be to look at this, in my opinion, in totality and give a recommendation to the City Council. So I applaud you for what you guys are doing, and I think it's a complex issue. There are matters of state law that we can't ignore. Kent, I don't know if you had anything to add.
No, that's correct. And as I mentioned the last time we met, there's two decision points. One being with the decision to tow the vehicle, and one with the decision to release that vehicle. Discretion only exists in that first decision point. The release, which is apparently what Mr. Galindo is speaking of in his resolution. We're bound by state law on the conditions set forth before we can release that vehicle. So we are right now reviewing our impound policies as far as encouraging the use of discretion on the initial decision to impound, but very limited on what we can do as far as the release of the vehicle.
Okay, it's quite apparent there's a lot of factors, complex factors related to this issue that are worth taking the time that is necessary to look through it well. So, again, we'll be meeting as a subcommittee of the commission, discussing those items, and then we'll bring this back at our next commission meeting. Mr. Captain Brand?
Just as a matter of procedure, I think we're not meeting in April, is that correct? So we'd be talking about May.
Exactly. The next meeting is actually scheduled for May 14th, 10 a.m. Correct?
Very good, thank you.
All right. Commission staff presentations, updates, reports, monthly crime stats. Mr. Jim Cobalt.
Thank you, Chairman Vieira. This measurement period goes February 2nd to March 1st, 2014. These are our Part 1 crime stats along with our arrest stats. Again, this information is available on the city webpage under the notes for the Criminal Justice Commission. When we take a look at our weekly average and median for this report, we averaged this report 65 Part 1 crimes per week with a weekly median of 64.5. You can see that's down a little bit from our February report. This looks at our Part 1 crimes year-to-year comparison by month. You can see February was up just a little bit from the month before, or excuse me, February of 2013. February's numbers are always down just a little bit because there's only 28 days in a month as opposed to 30 or 31. You can see that our crime rate figuring March 2013 to February 2014 is 275.11, which is up 1.08 from our report last month. The most active reporting districts, 1137 with 51 Part 1 crimes during the measurement period. 1135 had 36, 1127 had 28, 1126 had 27, and 1121 and 32 had 18. Thought rather than going into each individual reporting area this time, I'd show you what that pattern indicates on the citywide map. Essentially, there are 4 areas that are the centroids of these density areas. They're 20th Street East and Avenue J, 10th Street West and Avenue K, Valley Central Way between Lancaster Boulevard and Avenue J, and along Lancaster Boulevard near Sierra Highway. These are pretty consistent patterns for our Part 1 crimes that we can take this back just about as far as we want to, and this lines up pretty well with the risk terrain analysis that we've done for the city. And when we take a look at this, you can see that basically some of the big generation of Part 1 crimes, particularly our property crimes, come out of these 4 areas. And these are probably the areas that need more attention than just about anything else in the city. When we take a look at residential burglaries, 1137 had 18, 1135 had 9, 1132 had 6, and 1124 and 33 had 3. These are the stats for larcenies involving vehicles. 1137 had 9, 1192 had 5, 1122, 27, and 35 had 2. For our 52-week trends going from March 3rd of 2013 through March 1st of 2014, the crimes that we have that are trending up right now are robbery, even though the last couple of weeks they've been down a little bit. The peaks that we have in the most recent weeks are what's driving that upward trend right now. When we take a look at Grand Theft Auto, we can see that's trending up also, although for most weeks it stays below the baseline for our weekly baseline. Arson just slightly trending up. Trending flat is homicide. Trending down is rape, assault, burglary, and larceny. When we take a look at how crime lays out by reporting district, these are the 261 Part 1 crimes in the data set, and you can also see how their density plays out in the individual reporting districts. These show the areas where crime trends up and where crime trends down, this reporting period compared to the last reporting period. These are our repeat calls for service, probably the location that has popped up on there that we haven't seen in a while is Apollo Park out on Avenue G, and then we've also had a new one pop up that hasn't been there before, and that's the group home down on Cedar. This is how it lays out across the city for calls for service with 10 or more calls. And this is our Part 1 crime forecast for March of 2014. Our forecast, we're forecasting 348 Part 1 crimes. During the month of February, we had 314, or we forecasted 314. We had actually 304 with a 97% accuracy rate. And that's pretty much it. Questions?
I've got one question. On Apollo Park, do you know what the cause of those 15 records were?
No. I mean, I haven't drilled into it to find out. I can find out for you if you're interested.
Anybody who can shed some light on that? Okay.
No other comment? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to, thank you, Mr. Cobalt. Arrest stats. I believe Sergeant Jennings.
Thank you, Commissioner Vieira. Just to go over the arrest stats for the Directed Patrol units. Get the first slide. For the burglary suppression team, for the month of February, they had 24 felony arrests, 2 parolees. They conducted 2 search warrants, had 12 arrest warrants, 12 Ramey warrants. The big numbers here, they recovered over $50,000 in stolen property, and really the big one is getting the 34 guns recovered from residential burglaries. That was really a big haul for them. Going to the LANCAP team, next slide please. LANCAP had 58 felony arrests for the month of February, 6 misdemeanor. They recovered 5 firearms, arrested 10 parolees, and recovered close to $12,000 worth of illegal narcotics. Next. The narco team, they had 3 arrests, felony arrests for the month of February. They seized 721 grams of methamphetamine, which is just under 2 pounds. Marijuana, they seized 10.55 grams. They conducted 3 search warrants and recovered no firearms. And those are the numbers for the Director Patrol Unit. Any questions on any of those?
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to California Highway Patrol update. Captain Gretchen Jacobs.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I have a few stats for you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Officer Hernandez, who's going to talk about our every 15 minutes, as well as a job fair and some car seat events that we have going on. So if looking at DUI arrests for February, we had 76, and so we were up by 72.7% on those. Total enforcement contacts, which includes arrests and citations, we had 2,659, and we're up by 40.9%. We have a slightly higher fatal picture that's been rising slightly over the last 3 years. So we have discussed amongst the officers that what we want to do is we want to do a 3-pronged approach to this. We want to do education, which is going to be Officer Hernandez and my job, as well as the officers, when they have an opportunity to educate the public, they're going to educate, they're going to enforce, and when there happens to be an engineering problem, we're going to address the engineering problem as well. I hope with this concerted effort on our parts by the end of the year, we can drop, even if we drop the fatal picture by 1, that's a success. But I'm hoping that we'll get a larger percentage rather than just one fatality. So we'll see. You'll hold me accountable at the end of the year. We'll see how well we do with this. All right?
Thank you.
The question, if I got it right, 40% increase in arrests, you were saying?
The arrests include physical arrests as well as citations. So yes, as part of my strategy to make sure that we go out and we write more tickets and we educate more, obviously our numbers are going to go up in that regard.
Because I was wondering what it was attributable to. You have more highway patrolmen on the streets, we have same but just more people breaking the law?
No,
or?
I think what's been happening is because we have such a tough economy that the officers have been giving people more verbal warnings and more breaks. The problem is when I tell you, hey, don't drive, or I tell you, hey, slow down, and I don't give you a citation and I walk away, what's the percentage of likelihood that you're going to do that again? A lot higher than if I give you a citation and now all of a sudden you have to pay X amount of dollars out of your pocket. So I think that's the problem that we've had, is that we haven't been enforcing a lot of these laws to the extent that we should. We're giving a lot of verbal warnings, and what we really should be doing in a lot of cases is giving citations. So I think you're going to find with higher citation rate that our fatalities are going to be going down.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good morning. I'm going to cover a couple of things that we have ahead of the schedule here. We have a couple of things going on. We have 2 car seat events that are coming up. Why is this important? Obviously, children are number 1 cause of death is car crashes. A lot of children get killed in that. This particular event that we have on March 15th is in conjunction with the Jethawk Stadium and Farmers Insurance. We're going to have additional resources there, such as children ID kits. And the Hefter Foundation is going to bring out their distracted driver / impair simulator for people to get an idea what it is to drive impaired or texting behind the wheel. What the Highway Patrol is going to do, we're planning on twofold approach here. One is providing information to the community, and the other one is going to be providing free car seat inspections. Not free car seats, but free car seat inspections. We will have some car seats available for those community members that have their children in expired car seats, or just the child has outgrown that car seat. Our job is to make sure that they leave better than what they came in. So we will be providing that service. And the reason why this is so important, over 90% of the car seats that are out there in vehicles right now are improperly installed. So just by merely having a child in a car seat doesn't necessarily mean that they're safe. So our goal is to educate the parent how to duplicate that process, how to install that car seat. This month we have two of these events, the one for the 15th. We have another one on March 29th, both of these being Saturday. The second event is going to be at the Lancaster outlet stores. We haven't really picked a location yet, but it goes along with the AB Consignment. That's a small local business that comes in twice a year. And we partner up with them because that's where we draw the parents. Parents come in to shop. my goal is to go and talk to the parents and bring them in and say, hey, let us take a look at your car seat. The last one we did was October of last year. We inspected 54 car seats, and I think only 3 of them were properly installed. So that tells you what the problem is there. And we did provide 8 car seats from our fund to those parents that came in with expired or just damaged. You'll be surprised what you see with these car seats. The harnesses, they're tied together or bolts are attached to it just to keep it together. So we don't want that out there. So that's one of the things that we're doing to provide safety to the community. And that obviously doesn't matter. It could be unincorporated, City of Palmdale, City of Lancaster. All members are welcome to this. Another big event or events that we have coming on. Last year I came in and I spoke about the every 15-minute program and why that was so important to the community. We just did the Palmdale High School, February 27th and 28th. And this one, Angela Hefter was involved with this, and for those of you that don't know, her son was killed in the Metrolink accident, a train crash in 2008. And the irony of that whole thing was that her son, the one that was killed, was the last person that spoke at their last every 15-minute program. And he said, if you don't follow if you drive distracted, you're going to end up dead. 6 months after that, he was killed in that train crash. So Angela and I, or the Hefter Foundation and the Highway Patrol, work very closely to deter this type of behavior behind the wheel. Very successful program we had. We have an additional 3 schools that are coming up. Paraclete High School is coming up April 3rd and 4th. After that is Quartz Hill High School. It's coming April 10th and 11th. And AV High School, April 14th and 15th. And obviously, this is just half of what we have for the school district. I believe we have 8 high schools and 2 private plus Vasquez, which we did last year. But every year, the goal is to get at least or minimum of half of the school district to do these type of programs. The more we reach out, and we'll bring down that fatal picture. Along with that, we're going to be attending the job fair at Antelope Valley Community College. We just had our last testing cycle, and the failing rate, it's scary. We had 1,100 people that took our written test. Only 399 of those passed the written test. So it's something that we're working, and that probably will be dropped to maybe 50 folks by the time we're done with the process. About 5% actually end up going to our academy from that. So we will be recruiting from there. Additionally, the next open enrollment application we're looking at maybe late spring, early summer. We don't have an actual date yet. That's all I have for now. Any questions?
Yeah. When you're saying expired, does that mean the ones that are in disrepair, or do they actually have, like milk, have an expiration date?
Well, believe it or not, car seats have an expiration date. Before the law changed from 6 years old or 60 pounds, the car seats were only good 6 years from date of manufacture. A lot of these car seats sit at a warehouse for a couple years before they hit the market, if that. Parents don't know that, but that car seat expired back then 6 years after that date. With the new law, some of these car seats are now putting expiration labels, puts a date of manufacture and an expiration date, and it's normally 8 years from the date it was made to the expiration date. And a lot of that has to do with just the safety components. You know, safety is being reevaluated every year or every day, and just making those car seats safer. And here in the Antelope Valley, we do have inclement weather, so that plastic could at some point get compromised.
Okay, because I do see them in the secondhand stores, or I see them in garage sales, and I've never even thought that they could be unsafe or expired.
Correct. Well, a lot of those secondhand stores, if they are selling, they're violating the law, because it is a misdemeanor for any wholesaler to sell these car seats at a business. From a person-to-person perspective, there's nothing in place just yet that makes it against the law for them to sell that car seat. And that's why these events, and whenever we go to these functions, community functions, we educate the community that they shouldn't buy used car seats. Because one, if they've been involved in an accident, those car seats need to be replaced by the insurance. If that car seat has had a recall in since the time it was last used to present, the new person is not going to know that, and so now they're going to have some safety issues with it. So a lot of it is education.
It is, and I will see you at Jethawks.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll be there. And additional, if I may, we actually just came out of the Stone Age. We
We now have Facebook.
we have our Facebook.
We don't use it, though. We have it.
We're still learning. A lot of these events are there. We're posting all the events, safety messages to the community. So resources are available through the Highway Patrol. They're on Facebook, and it's California Highway Patrol, Antelope Valley area. So check us out and give us a like, please.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the Highway Patrol and the other agencies as well that are part of the every 15 minute. I can tell you, over the years, I haven't had the opportunity to observe that program in the 2-day period that it is. It truly does impact the lives of those that are involved, the students and the families as well, and it is making a difference. And there's a lot of time and effort that is put into that, but it's well worth it. So thank you. Appreciate that. And we have District Attorney update. Mr. Franklin.
Good morning. Looking at felony cases that were filed last month in the Antelope Valley, which obviously incorporates more than just Lancaster. But we had 606 felony filings. And our two closest neighbors, which would be San Fernando Courthouse, they had 702, so we were 100 less than them. And Van Nuys had 734. So I think we're doing something right here in the AV because we're getting fewer felony filings now as compared to San Fernando and Van Nuys. For misdemeanors, we filed 1,044 in the month of February. We've did some good training with CHP on the 10th. Myself and another deputy, Susan Choi, we went over and worked with them on DUI fatalities and what we're looking at in order to prosecute vehicular manslaughter. More importantly, Watson murders, which is an implied malice theory. And it was very good. It was excellent training, and as I indicated to them, as well as, just like I indicate to whether it's my troops in the Army or my employees, the ones I work with in the DA's office, it's a team effort. They were very, very receptive to that. So it was very, very positive training, I think. Finally, we got some very good verdicts. Recently, we just, last week, had a special circumstance murder conviction. Carrie Niddle tried it, formerly Carrie Smith, and did an outstanding job. We had a two-victim DUI Watson murder that was tried by Ed Wiley, and we got two convictions of second-degree murder. He did just an outstanding job. And what's interesting in that particular case, which is what I was talking to CHP about, is the individual never had a prior DUI conviction, but there were other things that he had in his past that would indicate that he was well aware of the dangers of drinking and driving, and that was substantial enough and significant enough that the jury came back with a murder conviction. Two young males killed. Just coming back from work in the early morning hours, just terrible. We also had two multi-count, two separate cases of very, very severe child molestation. One was tried by John Hatami, that was the coach, and then another was tried by Seth Carmack. He did an excellent job, and they'll both be getting significant sentences. Actually should be getting life, a couple life terms. So pending any questions, that would complete my brief.
Comments, questions?
How has the decrease in number of courthouses available impacted?
It impacts, we could use definitely more judges up here in the Antelope Valley, and it is unfortunate because what will happen is we tend to, if we've got strong cases and it's a case where we think that the defendant is a real threat to the community, we hold tight on what our offer is going to be. And what ends up happening with lack of court resources is, for instance, a case that went out yesterday. The individual had 2 prior robbery convictions, which were 2 strikes. It went to San Fernando. We were sent out of the building, and the judge there, incorrectly in my opinion, decided to strike 2 strikes and put this guy on probation, even though he had two prior robbery convictions. So that's where we're affected, is it can, when we don't have the appropriate resources here, then we're sent to other areas where they're not necessarily as, they're more concerned about just moving cases than about ensuring safety to the community and protecting the community, which they're there to serve. To give you an example, San Fernando, from January until the end of February, tried a total of 5 felony trials, but actually really only 4, because one of them was sent up here to try because we have better secure accommodations for a very high-profile defendant. We, on the other hand, have tried probably, let's see, I ran the numbers, it's approximately 20, give or take. So it would be nice to have some more assets up here to answer your question.
Thank you. In Business Watch Subcommittee, Public Safety Update, Mr. Dorico.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Vieira. First, I'd just like to give you an update. Probably several meetings ago, Lieutenant Kreger and Judy Coopersberg and then presented to the Commission a training that they were planning on putting together for mental health. Okay, as deputies, most contact for mentally ill folks out there, their first contact's with law enforcement to a certain degree, and based on studies that have been done. And actually, Lieutenant Kreger has informed me that as of this date, there's been over 250 deputies that have participated in that training here in the Antelope Valley, and that is ongoing. So when we finalize that, there's some things that the Sheriff's Department's working the local station with the Department of Mental Health from the county as well. So hopefully we're going to have some dedicated assets up here in the community as it relates to dealing with folks with mental illness. Just a comment to throw up there, as you look at those arrest stats, and it's, the significance of things that are being done out there with some of our task force programs. I want to kind of really feature what the LANDCAP team's out there doing with some movement of some resources, and that program's been expanded to an extent, and the willingness of those individuals to work odd hours and overtime and things for, to impact the community has been significant. And so what I'd like to do probably for the next meeting in May is bring Sergeant Owen, and actually Josh Wagner's a part of that team as well as a liaison as a CSO, and some of the statistical numbers that they've been putting up consistently every month based on that reorganization. I think it's been beneficial. The captain and Lieutenant Kreger initiated that and put that together, and I think it's been a very strong move as it relates to their impact on the community. The burglary suppression team still is, their solvency rate is untouchable comparably. Some significant cases with the theft and break-in at Eastside High School, some vandalism cases that we've had recently. incredible work they've been doing out there, and with some significant recovery of loss and for victims here locally for residential burglaries and business burglaries. I have to tell you, it's interesting. We've been working very closely with the air show coming up, as Dr. Vieira is well aware of, and that group. But I'm proud to say that we've established a pretty good collaboration between all the agencies that are going to be involved with this, and actually this Highway Patrol is stepping in and going to become a part of that as well here next week. But between the county, the City of Lancaster, and the City of Palmdale stepping up with some resources for managing the security aspect of it. We have participation from the Department of Corrections. We have a significant contribution from the Reserve Forces Bureau, the Sheriff's Department, the volunteers, your ROTC kids from the high schools, and also the Explorer Scouts. I mean, it's going to be quite a deal. And, you know, we're expecting some very large crowds, but I got to tell you, they've put together a pretty good format, and with the Blue Angels arrival and stuff, this should be a pretty neat city event, community event. So I'm looking forward to that. We're working on some things internally on a staff level. We're incorporating teen court into our community youth court. Currently, teen court is in the purview of the Parks and Recs Department. We're going to be moving that and incorporating that in with some step-up programs we're going to be doing as it involves youth. So we're going to incorporate that and develop that program further. We also have an expansion going on of neighborhood watch programs and some recontact with some groups that have kind of fallen to the wayside, with a priority on reinvigorating those folks and their participation. You know, so as we have turnover in neighborhoods, you know, we have new block captains and things to assign, so we'll readdress those groups. The Business Improvement Group program continues to grow. There's several meetings that are scheduled in the end of April that will definitely get on commissioners' calendars if you'd like to attend. That program's been moving forward, and we're seeing the benefits of that program and educating those businesses and collaborating with them. Right now, Amy Vasquez is working with our public works people, and we're going to be working with the station detectives as we're developing a new cost model as it relates to graffiti restitution. We've changed some equipment that we use here at the city and how we gather that information and how we provide that network to the Sheriff's Department, as well as their case management process, and there's different costs that are associated with that. So that's requiring us to develop a new plan as it relates to that restitution model that we have to bring forward to the court. So that's a pretty involved process right now. We want to make sure we get that tightened up so we can negate any challenges that may come forward on that. And lastly, Mr. Franklin has been working with us on this. We have, through the Mayor's Advisory Group, we have a working group that we meet monthly regarding community issues. Out of that group has come a program that was put together from actually a representative from the group as well. Lieutenant Krager is a part of that, as well as a representative from the DA's office, Mr. Morris, and they put together a program that they call First Time, Second Chance. At this point in the discussions and talking this program, in Mr. Franklin's office, Mr. Franklin and actually Deputy DA Dennis Vincent have been working very hard on bringing what contestable issues there are as far as how this works within the law and the spirit of this program. So what I'm seeking from the commission is, and this is going to be another committee thing, and I know how this works with everyone's busy schedule, but based on the mayor's request that we now at this point need to bring the commission into this discussion, as well as, so I'd like to ask that anyone that's interested in being a part of that committee to meet, and just so I can bring you up to speed on what's currently the issues as that's developing. And again, it's an ongoing working process because there's all kinds of issues that's very similar to what we discussed earlier in the meeting. Okay, there's legalities associated with doing certain things based on any diversion process. So that's basically what we're talking about without really getting too deep into it. So I'd like to see if there's any, desire, as I realize how busy everybody is, and just something to initiate this process and get you up to speed.
All right, thank you very much. I think maybe some of those that, maybe we have an option up here that those that aren't part of the vehicle impound subcommittee, that maybe they could be on this first first time, second chance
Yes, sir.
committee as well, so we'll have that conversation.
Well, if anyone that's interested could channel that through you, sir, and then you could let me know, and then we'll build a process and a meeting for that. And I did forget something, and this is huge. The Poppy Festival's coming up. I forgot, we're not having a meeting in April, but Jennifer's done a great job, and we have huge participation, thanks to Gil and everybody, in the public safety area. So as I encourage you to come to the Poppy Festival, which is a great two-day event in our city and is well attended, please come over to the public safety area. I mean, it is incredible the amount of agency cooperation and some of the things that we get over there, and we're very proud of that. And we've taken over a significant area over at Lancaster City Park I think we challenged the vendor area and everything at this point. So please come to the Poppy Festival. It's a lot of fun. And that's it.
Thank you.
Please, guys. What's the latest with the truancy issues that we were dealing with before?
Well, okay, I wasn't here for a period of time, so that's party stalled that out, so that's more on me. What has happened now is, as Dr. Vieira is aware, we're going to, in fact, I'm working with Antelope Valley High School tomorrow based on the presentation that we're going to be bringing forward to the school board in April, and then we'll move forward based on what the school board, because it's a developing process beyond that as it relates to the ed code and the requirements that the school is for reporting for implementation at some future point, whatever is determined by the school board at that point. We're ready to go on our side of it and how we want to manage that. The school's already done some things in place at Dr. Vieira's direction as far as infrastructure things at the school to facilitate this. So we already have a management plan. Now it's working through the district office on ADA recovery and all these things based on the education law, ed code law, and all those things that the school's going to still be required to. So it's a developing program as we move forward, and it's more intricate than people probably realize. It's just not a matter of going out and doing it, because we realize the current process is not supported by the courts based on lack of funds and resources. So we're also trying to address that in more of a restorative justice type model. The district has been hugely cooperative. We're hoping for some big success as it relates to managing that at one school and then expanding that from that point.
Exactly, and that's one of the things as well as we're looking at is that what baseline do we establish and what is that made up of? To look at it as the pilot, is it making a difference? And then how do you expand that as well? So,
Are they part of the teen court incorporation as well?
Yes, sir. Absolutely has a direct tie to it. And that's part of what we're discussing, and as Jim and Anne Marie work together with that community youth court, which has been hugely successful, there's obviously a huge burden that's going to be placed on that as it relates to this.
Thank you.
public business from the floor, non-agendized items, and we do have one speaker card. Ms. Anita Boardlame, I believe it is.
I've never been here before, so this is all new to me. But in the last 3 years, I've had to get involved regarding my daughter and unfortunately issues with the Lancaster Sheriff's Department. And I'd like to know what is being done about the crimes that we are hearing about in Los Angeles with Becca's office and internal crimes. I mean, I can't even get an investigation regarding an illegal arrest of my daughter's rights being violated. This is serious. And I would like to know, you know, unfortunately, I've never been here before, and I'm listening to these issues, and as far as I'm concerned, they're petty compared to what parents are facing within our own judicial system. It's scary.
Well, thank you for that. What I would suggest is that maybe you speak with one of the staff members. I don't know if there's somebody that could maybe, when we conclude this meeting, can answer some of those questions. But as commissioners, we don't have the background to
Right, I
your
didn't know where to
specifics.
start. I mean, I've tried everything I can think of, so I figured why not come here?
Okay.
Chairman Vieira, Lieutenant Krager will speak to her after the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner comments. Any comments in closing? Question? No?
Just that I will volunteer for the First Time, Second Chance program.
Great.
Committee.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Hearing no further comments, we stand adjourned at 10:55. And again, our next meeting is on May 14th, 10 a.m. Thank you.